Emergency alert. Emergency alert. A toxic substance has been released in your area. Remain indoors. Seal all windows and doors. Do not go outside. Exposure is dangerous. Await further instructions. This is not a test.
When you're a younger sibling, your whole existence is centered on, well, it's centered on annoying your older brother or sister. Come on, if you're a younger sibling here today, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get it. You want more than anything to get under your older brother or sister's skin. And you're gonna stop at nothing to make their life miserable. And it's not like us younger siblings want this to happen, right? Like, we don't choose this lifestyle to make our brothers and sisters' life terrible. That lifestyle, it chose us. It's like built into our DNA. We are who we are. It's not our fault. My older brother's name is Nick, and truthfully, he is the best older brother. I love him so much and I look up to him, but man, growing up, he was like the easiest person to annoy. I could always find some way, some angle to mess with him and utilize mental warfare to get in his head. Growing up, we played a ton of Madden on the PlayStation. Any Madden fans out there? Now, by no means was I good. Honestly, I was absolute trash at video games. My brothers were the gamers, I was not. But the few times that I would play Nick and beat him, I made sure he knew that he was the worst. And I would do this by an onslaught of small little comments. It was like death by 1,000 cuts. I would say things like this: Nick, you call that a pass? My blind goldfish could pass better. Nick, you're an actual embarrassment to mom and dad. You bring shame to the name Downey. Nick, no one will ever love you, and you will die alone if you keep this rush defense up. Okay, I was 10, so I would cut a little bit deeper than I would today, but nonetheless, I would really give it to him. 10 times out of 10, it would lead to him like rage quitting and throwing his controller. However, my favorite way to get under this dude's skin was anytime he would bring a girlfriend over to the house, I would summon my inner investigative journalist and ask his girlfriend terribly awkward questions as if I was trying to report on their relationship. I would ask him things like, "So, Amy, it's been reported that my brother and you have been together for 6 months now. However, the best restaurant he's taking you to is Olive Garden. Don't you think if he actually cared for you that he would take you somewhere a little bit nicer?" Or I would ask, questions like this: "Joanna, Nick, my brother, he slept with a stuffed penguin named Steve until he was 13. Does it worry you that you were dating someone so emotionally unstable that they needed an emotional support penguin that late into his life?" All right, now listen, me and Nick, we're brothers. He could handle it. Stuff like this between brothers happen, and he would do the same thing to me. It was all in love. But just for a moment, imagine with me. Imagine if I did this in all of my relationships. And not only when I was 10, but today. In all of my relationships, I did this with my friendships, with my coworkers, with my wife, with my son. Imagine if I treated everyone in my life in a way that was frustrating and annoying. What if I treated others in a way that caused them to just be annoyed, to be emotionally drained when they left me? What if I always treated them in a way where it seemed like I was just against them? If I did that, you know what you would probably label me as? Toxic. Here's the truth. If we were to look at our life and we were to look at all the different relationships that we have, I bet you could create a list of people that you would say are toxic. They are people just like this. There are people in your life that are just simply hard to be around. They take the life out of you and you would rather just avoid them altogether. And I want to be incredibly clear what I mean by toxic, because I think this is something that we just throw out. It's a label that we just throw out, and sometimes we don't even process what we're saying. Someone we would say is toxic is someone who is against us, who's against you. They could be against your vibe, or they could just be someone that's different than you. They could be against your mental health and someone who is exhausting mentally. They could be against your spiritual life, your future, or even wise decisions you're trying to make. Today, we're gonna start a brand new series called Toxic. I wanna have a conversation with you over the next couple weeks about what does it look like for us to interact with toxic people that are against us, in a healthy way, not in a destructive way or in a way where we're just always trying to avoid them. I want us to look at the Bible and see how Jesus was the perfect example for how we should deal with toxic people. Because Jesus not only dealt with toxic people, but he actually went out of his way to love toxic people. Now, as we have this conversation about toxic people, we're gonna be living in Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 through 48. In this teaching, Jesus is showing people that he was the one who completes and fulfills God's law. The people he's talking to in this moment, the Jewish people, had grown up with God's law and they knew it really well. But over time, they started to focus on so much of just following the rules that they actually missed the bigger point. They missed the fact that they were called to know God and to love God. So Jesus steps in and he begins to turn things upside down. He takes people through what it would look like to not only know the law, but to show them the deeper meaning behind it. He starts by reminding them what the law says in verse 43. It says this: "You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy." Let's pause there for a second. When Jesus first said this, the crowd was probably nodding yep, I'm with you, Jesus, I hear you. Why? Because it matched what they've always been taught. Love your neighbor. But here's the thing, when they heard neighbor, they didn't think about neighbor the way we would think about it. They didn't think about it as the person next door. For them, neighbor meant your group, your friends, your people, those who think like you, believe like you, dislike the same things and dislike the same people as you. And then there was the word enemy. Enemy meant anyone against you. People who lived differently, believed differently, came from a different background, or even ruled over you. Basically, the way they used the word enemy would be the same way we would use the word toxic. So when Jesus started with love your neighbor, the crowd loved it. Why? Because it felt safe, simple, clear. Love those that are like us, hate people that aren't like us. Done, next, let's move on. And honestly, that's still how we like to think sometimes, right? We're I love my friends, and then I'm just gonna ignore the haters. I'm gonna ignore the toxic people. Perfect, that works for me. But then Jesus, he flips the script and he drops a but. And when Jesus says but, you know something's coming. Matthew 5, 44 through 48 says this: "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect." Wait, what? No, hold on. Jesus, what? No way. That's totally opposite of what we have always been told. Everyone is listening and they are shocked. They cannot believe what Jesus is saying. Jesus in this moment is communicating to them, don't just love the people who are easy to love. Love the people who are hard to love too. The ones you would rather write off as toxic, annoying, or against you. I want to go back to that list of people in your life that you would consider toxic. Who are those people on that list that you're just having a hard time processing what it would look like to love those people? As you go to group today, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, who in my life am I tempted to write off as against me? 2, what would it look like for me to love those people that are toxic? Noticing who's toxic, that's just step 1, guys. And over the next couple weeks, we're gonna learn what it means to actually live a life like Jesus and love them fully. What does it look like to pray for our enemies? And maybe even in some instances, what does it mean to serve them? But today, I want us to first simply just notice who in our life are we having a hard time loving because we've just labeled them as toxic. By no means is this gonna be easy. Loving our enemies is hard work. However, I believe if we accept this challenge and act like Jesus towards those people, we have an opportunity to show the world what Jesus is all about.